Hello, Anastasia, friends and colleagues in Khanty-Mansiysk. Hello from Dominican Republic. Guess what? I'm going to talk about language on the internet. Nothing new, but yes, something new. I'm not going to talk about language, but about multilingualism on the internet. This is something which is quite unknown so far. So I'm trying to reveal one very important aspect of the internet. About language, I want to highlight something which is important to understand the challenge of language online, the relationship between number of language and number of speakers. This curve is extracted from Ethnologue 2024 data before regrouping on macro language. On the line, you got the number of language, and on EY, you got the number of speakers. You can see very obviously that the bulk of the language is on the left part of the screen. There is only two languages with more than 1 billion speakers, 15 in English and Chinese, 15 languages with more than 100 million, 125 languages with more than 10 million, less than 500 languages with more than 1 million, which means that there is 7,000 languages on the left part of the screen. The less speakers, the more language. And what do we care? We care because there is a strong correlation, not an exact correlation, but a strong correlation between presence online, digital language, and number of speakers. Today, with 95% of humanity is using 5%, less than 5% of the language. And probably there is the same group which is online. So 95% of language are not online. What are the number of language available online? We have tried to approximate this figure, which is unknown. We estimate, based on Unicode data, that 750 languages could be online today. And you can see the curve. We've seen English domination, European language online, Asian language and Arabic, and today we are in a real multilingualism on the internet, but a multilingualism reserved to less than 10% of language. I will not come back to what I call the myths of English as a lingua franca of the internet. This curve is our measurement. Today, the percentage of web page in English is asymptotic to 20%, but the media keep saying 50%, 60% based on a biased source. This is a type of figure we have been able to produce. For instance, cybergeography of language families, grouping the data by families and showing in that case that African language have a gap to overcome. So let's focus multilingualism in the internet, which is a new subject I want to share with you. This is the internet-based hidden secret. We don't really know, and we are offering the first approximate, not precise yet, but the first view on the reality of multilingualism. And what we will discover, there is already a very strong multilingualism. It's growing, but the variation is huge, depending on country's language. We have made two series of studies, one in 2025 using dataprovider.com, a database of 85% of existing websites with many parameters, including language. And in 2022, we have created a new program, and I will talk about that, which allowed to create indicators. This is the 7th study we made with data provider. And let's go to the figures. Indicators chosen to work percentage of multilingual website. According to the database computation, 14% of websites worldwide are multilingual. 86% are monolingual. Now, the multilingualism is not spread over. It depends. If you take countries, almost 50% of countries are above the average, But if you take speakers, 76% of speakers are below average. Why so? Check the continent. Europe have 18% of website multilingual, which is a high and above the average. But North America is only 5%, not the fourth of Canada, who is on the average. Arab countries have the best level, 43%, because they are bilingual, English, Arabic. If you take all English official language countries, we done the computation, 5%. If you check by language, you will see that Basque, Ukrainian, Latvian, Catalan, Estonian, Greek are on the top. More than 50% of their websites are multilingual. If you take the other side of the curve, English, Indonesian, Chinese. I have tagged Luxembourger because it's very interesting to say that Luxembourger as a language is on the low side, but Luxembourg as a country is on the high side. Paradox. We have the same paradox with Portuguese, which is on the high side, but Brazil is on the low side. Monaco, Moldova, Kuwait, Ukraine, Mauritania, they are above 50% of their website multilingual. And on the other side, you see United States, obviously, South Africa, South Korea, Nigeria, China. If you correlate multilingualism on the web and type of website, what do you see? Logical. E-commerce is multilingual. Business websites are multilingual. If you take correlation between economic impact of the website, it is a wonderful result, huge correlation. The more economic impact, the more multilingual. The less economic impact, the less multilingual. Now, what we have done on 2026 is MESILD, a new program with the capacity to extract linguistic indicators from any series of websites, less than 5 million websites. We have searched, apply the program to Tranco, the 1 million most visited websites which are used by W3 Tech to claim English is 50 to 60% of the web page. Yes, English is 50 to 60%, but not of web page, of websites. If you measure web page, you come to the figure we have always say, 21%. The rate of multilingualism, which is the number of version of linguistic version divided by the total number of websites, 3.3, very high. 36% in this million websites are multilingual. The average language per website multilingual is 7, very high. We have identified 318 different languages in one of the sampling of 100,000 sites. So 750 is maybe a good estimate. This is the result. So yes, English is present in almost 60% of the website in the 1 million most visited. German, French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese. The sampling of this Tranco series cannot be used to reflect the whole web. It is totally biased toward dominant European language. So let's be careful. We have also applied the program to many GTLDs, linguistic GTLDs. For instance, if you take the one.us, which is a Basque, you got 96% of multilingualism. And why? Because they are all bilingual, Spanish Basque, Spanish Basque. If you take Quebec, very interesting, 50% of level of multilingualism, and French is above English, but they are very close. Interesting to see a high number of IDN, international domain name, because they have hosted autochthone website in Pont Quebec with their own alphabet. Paris is very interesting. A high number of language, high number of multilingualism, but a more even repartition of language. Vocation to be international. We have also made an interesting study. We have taken the sites which are multilingual, only them, to see what happened. 90% of multilingual sites have an English version. It's huge, 90%. So yes, there is domination of English in that sense. Now, if you measure web page, only 13%. No contradiction. It is a fact that 7 language average per site. So you can have 90% of site with English, but in terms of web page, it's only 13%. 13%, by the way, is very close to the number of L1 and L2 English speakers. So we have confirmed our result. Let's talk now about the internet is the most multilingual space ever created. The lingua franca is not English but translation. We are living a revolution in translation with AI and a paradigm shift. However, 90% of language are not taking profit of that revolution. Today, from 700 language, you got 750 with digital assistance, 250 with technological support, 345 in Wikipedia, 100 which are discoverable, means that search engines are reflecting those contents. Only 50 have a huge corpus to be an IA, and only 20 languages have their own sovereign language model. This is the situation today, and I have managed to conclude before 12 minutes. It was a challenge to do so. I have to remove a lot of information. Thanks for your time.